And well, welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Watts2K99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch these videos. Quick reminder, we go live every Wednesday night at 6 p.m., so set your notification bells to join us for all the fun. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I appreciate your support. Today, let's talk a little New York Mets baseball, and specifically, I want to talk about the wild card race. I'm going to talk about the Mets roster and how I think the bullpen has changed, but I want to spend most of this video talking about this National League wildcard race that is shaping up to come down to the very last week of the season, maybe even the very last day. And you know what? We don't always get that in baseball, but I think this is going to be pretty crazy. So I'm really going to focus on the top 6 teams in the wild card race. There are a couple of other teams like the Giants and the Reds and the Cubs who are a couple of games back, but they're going to have to really get on a hot streak to get back in the race. So if we look at the standings as they are going into Friday's games, okay, you've got the Braves leading it at 59-49. They're a game and a half up on third place, the third place wild card standing. The Padres at 59-51. They're half a game up. The Diamondbacks have the third wild card spot as of now with a 58-51 record. Just a half game behind them are the Mets. They are in fourth place right now, and right behind them you have the Cardinals and the Pirates. The Cardinals 2 games back of the Diamondbacks, and the Pirates 2.5 games back of Arizona. Okay, so then what Fangraphs does, and that's where I'm getting these numbers from, this particular number from, based off each team's record and their remaining strength of schedule, all that kind of stuff, a few other probably intangibles, they look at each team's percentage to make the playoffs. Clinch a wild card, clinch a bye, clinch a division, all of that. But if you look at just making the playoffs, so they've got Atlanta at 87%, they've got San Diego at 71%. So they give those two teams a very distinctive advantage despite this race being so close. It does kind of make sense with Atlanta. You know, they have an excellent pedigree. They're in the playoffs every single year. And San Diego did what they always do. They traded their future for the present. This time it was Tanner Scott. To me, he will not make the same impact that Juan Soto did, but we shall see. Arizona, it gets a little bit closer. They give the Diamondbacks a 58.5% chance. The Mets a 47.2% chance of making the playoffs. And a little below that, you've got St. Louis at 22%, the Pirates at 14%. So it seems pretty apparent that the odds makers are thinking that last wild card spot is coming down to the Mets and the Diamondbacks. So that then begs the question, well, then what if these teams finish tied for a wild card spot? Who gets the edge? And remember, it's a big thing to get that first wild card spot because then you host a first-round series. Now, of course, that doesn't mean you're going to win it, but those 2, potentially 3 games, you'd rather have them in your own building if possible. Well, let's look at the Mets and how they have done against each team. And the reason for that is it's about head-to-head first. I'm going to get the second tiebreaker as well. But if you look at the head-to-head, so far, the Mets are 5-5 against the Atlanta Braves, and they have 3 games left with Atlanta, September 24th through 26th in Atlanta, well, more specifically in Cobb County. That's where the games really are. So whoever wins that series wins the tiebreaker. Now, with San Diego and Arizona, this is really interesting. The Mets are so far 3-0 against the Padres this year. They swept them in Citi Field earlier this year, but they have a 4-game series in San Diego, August 22 through 25. Okay, so all the Mets have to do is win 1 game there. They have the tiebreaker on San Diego. Arizona, right after the Mets play San Diego, guess where they go? That's right, they go to Phoenix to play the Diamondbacks. So the Mets so far are 2-2. Against Arizona. They split a 4-game series in New York. And the 3-game series with Arizona is the 27th through the 29th of August. So think about this. The Mets have 3 games in San Diego. Then they get a day off by the grace of the schedule makers. Then right after that, they got another huge 3-game series against Arizona. That one's going to be enormous. So that 6-game stretch could mean a lot with the Mets making the playoffs or missing them. Now, as far as St. Louis goes, they are 3-2 against the Cardinals at this point. They have 1 makeup game to play on August 5th in St. Louis. So if the Mets win that, they clinch the tiebreaker. And they're 5-2 against the Pirates. That is the only one that has been clinched. So the point of this, the Mets have a lot of games left against teams they're going to be fighting for a wild card spot. So then if the Mets do finish tied with the only team they can finish tied with is St. Louis because they have an odd number of games against everybody else. Okay, so if the head-to-head record is a tie, you then go to intra-division records. So it's about your record against teams in your own division. And that still qualifies even though the Mets are in the Eastern Division and the Cardinals are in the Central. So it's about the Mets record against the Eastern teams, Cardinals record against the Central teams. And right now the Mets are 20-16 against the East, Cardinals just 16-17. So the Mets would have the edge there. So that is very encouraging. But really, I think a lot of people are talking about this 10-game road trip coming up, as they should. But don't forget, that 6-game stretch against San Diego and Arizona in late August will be huge. And right now, you've got Arizona playing Pittsburgh this weekend. That's a big series. I'm glad that Paul Skeens will be pitching in the series against Arizona, because if you're a Mets fan, you need Arizona to lose and lose and lose. San Diego plays Colorado. Atlanta plays Miami. Yuck. San Francisco does play Cincinnati. They're kind of outside the race at this point, though. But the Mets head to Anaheim this weekend, and they really need to win 2 games against an Anaheim team that is just has nothing left. Trout out for the season. The Mets do have to face Tyler Anderson. I feel bad for Tyler Anderson. He's been a very good pitcher for them this year, and I really thought the Angels would be smart to deal him away, but they didn't. But I do feel better about this Mets team than I have in a while, and one of the reasons is the bullpen may actually be becoming a strength right now. Think about it. You have Edwin Diaz. You have Jose Butto. Now, he's got a 1.08 ERA in 8 relief appearances over 16.2 innings. The thing with Butto, the difference with him, he'd been very prone to walking a lot of batters. But now he's throwing strikes with all of his pitches, and he has helped transform the entire staff. What a difference he's made. I would not mess with him. I know there's talk about moving him into the starting rotation. I just would not mess with him. You've got Daniel Nunez on his way back. There's a good chance he might be back middle of August. You've got Reed Garrett and Sean Reed Foley currently on rehab assignments. They're very close. They could be back in less than a week. And then you add in the additions in the trade deadline. Oscar Brazaban. He's got a mid to upper 90s fastball plus a sinker, an elite changeup. He's striking out 10.2 batters per 9 innings. He might be the swing and miss arm that the Mets have needed to set up Edwin Diaz. Ryan Stanek, great history of pitching in the playoffs, throws 98. He is yet to enter our circle of trust, however. He has not looked too great. But then you have Phil Maton, 2.57 ERA in 8 appearances since joining the Mets. He has held righties to a .077 batting average. It just goes to show you, even if your fastball is only 90 miles an hour, if you know how to pitch, you can still get big league hitters out. And then you got the 2 Youngs. You got Danny Young. You've got Alex Young. Alex Young, how about this guy? 4.2 shutout innings. You know, less than a month ago, the Giants acquired Alex Young from the Reds, and they tried to pass him through waivers. Well, David Stearns was ready for it. It didn't work. The Mets claimed him, and he has been a pretty good part of that bullpen. And yes, you have the Adam Ottavinos of the world, but at this point, with the depth the Mets are bringing back in, you'll be able to bury him as the last man in the bullpen until he figures it out. But the Mets, you know, going on the road, they're 27-22 on the road this year. That's tied with Philly for the second best mark in the National League, but now it's 20 of 29 away from home. You know, Brandon Nimmo was asked about it. He was asked about the schedule coming up in August, and he was right. This month is going to be a battle, but I'll tell you what, guys, it's going to be a crazy, crazy wild card mix. Every day is going to feel like the biggest boost in the world or the end of the world. Look, there's still about 50 games to go. Just enjoy the ride, and let's see what happens. All right, everybody, thanks so much for joining me. There'll be some more stuff coming out this weekend. I'll be doing an updated 53-man Jets roster, so definitely check that out. Everybody, have a great day, and I'll see you right back here with more content from you know where, the Wicker Chair.